This is TWiT.
Amazon devices, which says Dan Gooden, will soon automatically share your internet with neighbors. Now, I know this is controversial, and I am in the minority, but having looked at Amazon's white paper, in fact, having had our security guy, Steve Gibson, did a whole show on it late last year, I was impressed with Amazon's effort to make it secure and effort to make it private. And as far as I could tell, it looks pretty darn good. There is a kind of community benefit to Sidewalk because it's a low-speed network. It's sharing your internet, but it's not sharing a lot of your internet. It's like 80 kilobits at most, so that lost dogs can be seen anywhere in your general vicinity. I mean, it just seems like this is a good thing. Dan, I think, is kind of scaring people and says, well, there might be a problem. There have historically been problems with IoT devices and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Does that mean we should never do any IoT, Wi-Fi, or Bluetooth devices because there could be a problem? I don't think that's fair. He also shows you how to turn it off, which admittedly Amazon kind of buries 3 levels.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference here is that it is by default enabled on.
It is by default on. That's right. Yep.
That's the issue here. It's one thing if you want to
but nobody would opt in
to a platform. Okay, well then maybe it shouldn't exist. If the only reason that your tech thing is going to work is because you're tricking people into using it, then maybe it's not something that people want.
Trick is such a pejorative word. It's not a trick. It's
you're just sneaking it in under there.
Well, I mean, they published the white paper. They told people they're doing this. It turns
they published the white paper.
It turns on June 8th. There isn't much risk. It doesn't use a lot of bandwidth, and there is a great benefit. I think they understand that people are going to get scared by articles like this and people saying, oh, you don't want Amazon to have a network. But I think there's a huge benefit. Tile's going to use this. It's the only way Tile can compete against Apple's AirTags because, Apple's AirTags use iPhones to do the network. Everybody with an iPhone is creating a network for AirTags. How else is Tile to compete? They are going to tie into Sidewalk, which will give them roughly a similar footprint. Maybe not as big, but a good footprint. That's a benefit to the public, and sometimes the public doesn't know what's good for them. Can't believe I said that.
But Amazon does.
Amazon might. What do you think?
I think if it wasn't Amazon doing this, I think people would be a lot less concerned about it.
Yes, I understand. I think Amazon knew that, and so they really worked hard to make it private. It doesn't in any way reveal who you are, where you're coming from.
But I mean, how many times have companies told us that, and then some hack or issue happens and it's revealed to, even in the case, is a little bit of a different example, but in the case of Alexa devices, there was that great Bloomberg feature that was on the cover a year or two ago about how your recordings from whenever you were talking to your Echo were being listened to by a bunch of low-wage paid workers.
Right. And they were sharing fun recordings from your house.
I mean, I'm sure they were fun. But something else like that happening as it gets closer and closer to, I guess, our internet, the core of kind of our online and increasingly offline lives, it gets a bit more concerning.
I mean, as much as, Dan's written this article and we talk about it and we've told people how to turn it off. I've told people on the radio show how to turn it off while lobbying to have them turn it on. I think because it is a default and because most people won't even know about it, it's gonna happen. And
Are
you're
you
right.
leaving yours on?
Yeah, I am leaving mine on, but I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm the guy who's always saying,
you have a ring,
I used to have a ring. I replaced my ring with a doorbell from Google, so that's got to be better.
Oh wow! Yeah. I mean, that's you're going up the advertiser ranking.
Well, not to jump on this unpopular boat with you, Leo, but on some level, isn't the ultimate dream of the internet a truly decentralized one where there aren't servers, where all of these devices are like
it's a big
truly
mesh.
meshed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this
So
is. It's not a high-speed network. It's not like you could surf the net on it. It's really more for, things like tracking.
If every single device, to some degree or another, some little sliver of its connection was helping every other device in the world have a connection,
Isn't that cool?
Then you wouldn't have a situation where governments could be like, go find the server rooms and shut them off because you couldn't shut off every single device. Now, Amazon doing that is not exactly the decentralized dream. One huge company doing that maybe isn't, but...
Well, who would do this that you would trust, Brian or Paris? Who could do this that you would say, oh, I'm glad they're doing it? Nobody.
I feel like that's the issue, is one central figure or company handling
Would you
this
trust it
is
if
not going to be decentralized.
Would you trust it if the American government did it?
I mean, I don't think any central power being responsible.
The
for this
United
is going
Nations
to.
should do it?
there's a crypto company.
Well, I definitely don't trust them.
Yeah, right. Helium.
Helium. So that we've talked a lot about helium. That's very interesting.
Stacey was talking about that on Twig this week.
Yeah, Stacey
this?
has it. So this is a router that mines a cryptocurrency.
Oh God!
Now wait a minute, but
But there's more.
but wait, there's more. You get money. In fact, I didn't realize this, but Stacey's gotten something like $18,000 since she put this thing in. You get money. It's in a cryptocurrency, but you can convert it to dollars for not proof of work, which is how Bitcoin works, or proof of stake, which is how the future imaginary cryptocurrencies will work, but through proof of coverage. When somebody uses, and it's low raw, just like Sidewalk, somebody uses your long-range, slow, wide area network for, she lives on an island, so she thinks ships are using it for location and data, of some kind. You get a small amount of money, and she's gotten a lot of money.
So Paris, I actually I found out about this a year ago, and I really considered it because
I tried to buy it, but you can't because it's sold out.
But like you and I living in Brooklyn, the idea is you would put a little router in your window, right? And so
This
then
is kind
all
of
of
like
those,
NYC Mesh.
Yeah,
Right,
or
exactly.
Meraki before that. This has been proposed in past years as well.
and like Leo's saying, apparently the currency has exploded, or it did. Who knows what happened in the last 48 hours? But
Like it does, like all crypto, go up and down.
Right. But that was the point, is that you would just hang one of these in your window, and then in a place like here where it could be used by, the Amazon delivery truck or the smart dog collar that goes by or whatever. It seems like we would be a high traffic area for that to happen. So I really considered it, and now I regret not pulling the trigger on it.
Okay, you guys mentioned at the beginning of this cryptocurrency. So is this, how many trees is this killing per hour?
Oh, that's what's so cool about it. It's not GPU mining. It's not hugely powerful. It doesn't use much power at all, because the way it mines it is by proof of coverage, not by proof of work. So you're not
That's
doing.
great.
Yes, it's an environmentally friendly cryptocurrency. Now, how much would you pay?
Okay. I don't know. My FiOS is pretty cheap.
You have FiOS,
Is
right? This would
Helium-
pay for your FiOS.
Is Helium capped at the number of tokens that can be generated like Bitcoin is, or is it open-ended like
Oh, that's a
Doge?
good question.
I don't know enough of that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to. That's a white paper right there. Mark Benioff's an investor. Does that help?
Not really.
No. Google
I know.
Google Ventures has invested. I just think it's very interesting. There's a lot of benefit to creating, and it doesn't have to be a high-speed network. We're not talking that we're not doing what like Xfinity and Cox do, which is take over your, by the way, they're doing it to create a Wi-Fi network, taking over your router, and most people, that's on by default. If you get an Xfinity router, a Comcast router, or I can't remember who else, I think Spectrum's doing it, maybe Cox. If you get one of their routers, it creates this guest network that people can use if they're subscribers. That's all to the benefit of those companies. This is not quite like that. This is really, I think Amazon's benefit probably is something like delivery trucks, like they would love to know where their delivery trucks are, but they have GPS in those trucks, so that can't be it.
Yeah, they have GPS at the wazoo in those trucks.
Yeah. So
But I wonder if the low signal thing is, as opposed to where the truck is, what's still on that truck. Like how close would they be able to?
Yeah.
They could use that to ping you that your delivery is 3 minutes away.
You could put a little device in every package.
Well, they
You know
already
exactly
do
where
that,
it is.
though.
Oh, do
That's
they?
true. That's true.
Okay. Well, they do it by
if you're getting-
scanning, but what if you put a little? I guess it's too expensive, but you could put a little tag on every little tile tag on every.
Oh well, what
Well,
about
I mean,
the idea
when
that you see the delivery people have to scan the package every time? So what if a house had this device in it, and so then again the package would know to the second when it hit that doorstep or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I get a picture.
Yeah, then you've got to put something, an RFID tag or
That's
an
too
NFC
expensive.
or something.
It wouldn't be
in
RFID.
the
That's
package
the problem.
itself.
It would have to be.
I mean, some sort of
Maybe RFID
some sort of
would work.
token.
Yeah, because you have this network everywhere. Might be something you could make cheaply, or down the road make cheap.
I mean, as it is now, when I'm getting an Amazon package, I get a notification. If it's coming via an Amazon Prime truck, I get a notification. The truck is 2 stops away.
I get that
The
from
truck
UPS too
is
now.
there.
They're in competition. They're all doing it.
UPS, they've really stepped up their game.
Yeah.
You can follow the truck along on a little map.
I get a little
I
map.
love it.
Yeah.
Sam, what about this? What if this was in all of our windows here in Brooklyn, and would that signal it's probably too weak, but what if that helped self-driving vehicles in cities? What if there was little signals to ping the cars as they go by?
There's actually already a technology for that, for what they call V2X, vehicle to everything communications, and they've been working on this for quite some time. Where you've got vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to pedestrian. Originally, they were going to do it with something called DSRC, which was a flavor of Wi-Fi. They've now switched over to cellular V2X, which is basically using LTE or 5G. And it branches off from that because it doesn't actually have to go through the cell network. It can broadcast directly to other nodes around you, and so it can, for example, when you're driving down the road, if your wheel starts slipping and if you hit a patch of ice and your wheel slips and the stability control turns on, it will broadcast a message to other vehicles around you that, hey, there's a patch of ice here, and alert other drivers. And they're doing this now. Argo AI, which is a partner of Ford developing their automated driving system, is doing this in Miami now. They've put up, because all the sensors on these automated vehicles are limited to line of sight. They can't see through buildings or through other vehicles. So at certain intersections where there's limited visibility, they've put up sensor pods over the middle of the intersection with CV2X radios that will look down the cross street, and if there's a vehicle coming, that might be a hazard to the AV, it will broadcast that and say, hey, there's a car coming at high speed at this intersection, be aware, so that the automated vehicle could slow down before it gets there. And Motional is also doing this in Las Vegas now, and most of the Chinese AV companies are also doing this in China, where they're further along with CV2X than we are here.
How much bandwidth do you need? Could something like Sidewalk be enough?
I don't know if Sidewalk would be enough. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of bandwidth because
just 80
the standard,
kilobits. Yeah.
Yeah, the messaging standard, there's what they call a basic safety messages standard. They're very small messages. They take very little bandwidth. So you can broadcast a lot of messages in an area, and it doesn't take much at all. As you go further forward and you want to start maybe sharing sensor data between vehicles, then you're going to need more. But for a lot of the initial stuff, you don't need very much bandwidth at all.